CFOP. Act 3. Scene 1. To COLL or not to COLL? That is the question. Hey guys, it's me CriticalCubing, and today's topic is COLL. COLL is a common subset that most speedcubers know and learn, but is it really worth learning 42 algorithms apart from already knowing OLL and PLL? First and foremost, for CFOP, OLL and PLL is a must. So before you learn any other alg sets like winter is coming, radiation, VLS, etc., your first priority should be learning PLL and then OLL. Once you know OLL and PLL, you can move on to other alg sets like COLL. After you're done with the F12, right? If you have a cross on the U layer, like in here, and instead of doing OLL here, you can do COLL, which will guarantee UPerm, HPerm, or ZPerm after you are done with the algorithm, which skips all of the bad PLL algorithms like VPerm, YPerm, EPerm, and instead you get UPerm, HPerm, or ZPerm, which are really easy to recognize and fast to execute. And as a prerequisite for using COLL, you should be knowing the corners recognition, which is also called CP recognition. What does CP recognition mean? You just look at the corners on the U layers, and this is one of the cases that you can get, and I recognize this case by matching blues and then these two are opposites. So CP recognition, you basically have a system of recognizing your corners case, which in turn helps you recognize your COLL case, which in turn helps you force UPerms, HPerms, and ZPerms all the time as long as you have a cross on the U layer. One of the main advantages of COLL is that you completely skip all of the other PLL cases and guarantee yourself UPerm, HPerm, or ZPerm, which can all be solved using M and U moves, and are also quite easy to predict since you only have to predict the edges since the corners are being solved. So the first advantage of using COLL is better PLL cases, UPerm, HPerm, ZPerm, which are easy to recognize and also fast to execute. And this is the next advantage, easy to recognize. All of these three PLLs can be recognized by the two sides. So for example, from this angle, I see that this red sticker needs to come and match with this red headlights in here, so this is the UA perm. From this angle, I see that I don't have the bar, but I have the opposites in here, meaning this is the UA perm. From this angle, I again see the opposites, but this time I have the bar, UA perm, and from this angle, I see bar, and then red sticker, and then this red sticker is opposite to the bar. So this is again the UA perm. So all of these three PLLs can be recognized by the two sides, and the UB perm follows the mirror pattern of the UA perm. And the HPerm is even more easier because HPerm will have an opposite pattern on all the four sides. So blue and green opposites, orange and red opposites, green and blue opposites, and red and orange opposites. So HPerm is even more easier. And the ZPerm will have a checkerboard pattern. Red, green, red, green, red, green. And the other angle where you don't have the checkerboard pattern is this angle. But the checkerboard pattern is still there, but it's on this side and this side. And then you have a checkerboard pattern here, and the checkerboard pattern extends to these sides. So the recognition for these cases are also easy, and the other advantage that you might see in world record solves is the ability to PLL skip. So the probability for getting a PLL skip with COLL is a lot higher than just doing normal OLL and PLL. With COLL, you have 8 out of 12 times a UPerm, 2 out of 12 times a ZPerm, 1 out of 12 times a HPerm, and 1 out of 12 times a skip. So if you were to do an average of 12, then you will get a skip at least in one of these solves. And without COLL, using just OLL, the PLL skip happens 1 in 72. So the chance of getting a PLL skip just goes up 6 times, which is really good. More PLL skips for us. And another advantage of COLL is PLL prediction, specifically EPLL prediction. Since COLL is going to be solving your corners, you don't really need to look out for the corners. You only need to predict the edges for your EPLL, and you have your PLL predicted. And this is one of the cases that you can get, and this is the COLL case. And in this case, I see that the red sticker is in here, and this is the UA perm, since this edge needs to come in here and match up with the red headlights that will be here after I'm done doing the algorithm. during a CLL recognition, you can also predict what sort of EPLL case you're getting, thus shortening the transition from CLL to EPLL, and in some cases making your transition pause less. Those were the main advantages, but there are also minor advantages like UPerm, HPerm, and ZPerm being solved MU moves, and they're really fast to do, and you also have to do less AUFs. So HPerm, for example, can be solved from any side, and then you just have an AUF. ZPerm also can be solved from all the sides. So from this angle, I use the standard algorithm M2 U prime, M2 U prime, M prime U2, M2 U2 M prime. And from this angle, where the checkerboard extends to these sides, I do M2 U2, M prime U prime, M2 U prime, M2 U prime, M prime, and then the AUF U or U prime that you have. Both the HPerm and ZPerm does not require a pre-AUF so as to set up the case, and you only need to do the AUF after you're done with the algorithm. But that is not the case with UPerm. Most of the people learn two algorithms for the UPerm, one with the bar at the back and one with the bar in the front. With the UPerm, you might have to do one AUF. So if the bar is in this side, then you have to do AUF and then you will solve the case. Or if you have the bar in this side, then you have to do AUF and then do the algorithm. So UPerm is the only case that might require a pre-AUF, but it is still quite less compared to other PLL cases that you might get. You have to do less AUF for solving your UPerm, HPerm, or ZPerm. So that was about CLL and why you should be doing CLL. But one of the problems with CLL is that you might not get this cross on the U layer all the time. That reduces the number of chances that you can use CLL. But that is not that big of a deal breaker, since you can intuitively force your cross on the U layer all the time. So last F12 remaining, and intuitively what I do here is I keep the F12 in the back in here, then I swap these two, then I swap these two, and now when I insert the F12 right, I will have the cross on the U layer all the time. So it's just basic swaps that you need to do for intuitively getting the cross on all the time. But this is something extra, and when you do get cases where you are forcing CLL case, it will be much more faster to just solve your F2L, OLL, and then PLL instead of forcing CLL and then doing EPLL. So that was about CLL and why you should be doing CLL. Now let us talk about the problems with CLL and why you shouldn't be doing CLL. The first criticism of CLL is that the recognition is a bit slower than OLL. In OLL recognition, you only need to recognize your OLL case and you are done. But with CLL, you also notice what corners case you have. So for example, in this case, I just see yellow stickers and I'm done. That is the OLL. But for CLL, I also notice the stickers on the sides. This is one of the CLL cases that you can get, and I personally recognize this as opposites and adjacents. With OLL, I don't need the information from these stickers. I only need to look at the yellow stickers and I'm done. But with CLL, I have to look at the sides and then do my CLL case that will solve the corners. Therefore, the recognition for CLL is one step further from your OLL, making the CLL recognition a bit slower compared to OLL. Next, CLL algorithms are slower compared to OLL algorithms. The OLL algorithm that you use for a certain OLL case is going to be the fastest algorithm that you can get for that OLL case. But in CLL, this may not be the case. So for example, here is a CLL case, and I personally recognize this as matching and then opposites. And for solving the CLL for this, I do this algorithm. Compare that algorithm to this algorithm, which is the same case. We have the same corners case, right? But this is the standard algorithm that I use for this OLL case. And this algorithm is much more faster to execute than the previous CLL algorithm that I showed you. The execution for an OLL algorithm on average is going to be faster than the execution for a CLL algorithm. Next is the two-sided PLL recognition. I mentioned that EPLs are fast to recognize because you can recognize the PLL from the two sides, right? So if you were to get this case, you can just look at these two sides and you know that this is the UA perm. And this two-side recognition made EPLL recognition faster. But this is not the case because two-side recognition can be used for each and every PLL. And just a quick demonstration, if I were to stumble upon this case, right, then I know that this is the V perm because these two are not matching and I have a checkerboard pattern in here. Orange, green, orange, green. This is the V perm and I have the bar in here, this block, not the bar, but the block in here, just by looking at this pattern. So the moment I see this pattern, right, I can recognize my V perm from two sides just like I did with the U perm. The moment I see this, I can just AUF and then solve my PLL case. In PLL cases, you can also have pre-AUF, like I had with the VPerm in here, U2 pre-AUF, and after you're done with the PLL, you can also have a AUF after that. But one good thing about the EPLs is that EPL requires fewer pre-AUFs, and PLLs on average require more pre-AUFs to set up your case from a certain angle. So that is the only merit of EPLs as far as recognition is concerned. The pre-AUF in EPLs is lower than normal PLL algorithms, but apart from that, the recognition for both the cases is quite similar, since you can recognize your EPLs and PLLs from two sides. Thus, EPLs being faster does not really hold up that much. The other thing that I had mentioned is that most EPLs are fast because you can solve them using M and U moves. And just to throw out some numbers, U-perms on average can be solved in 0.6 seconds, H-perm on average can be done from 0.6 to 0.7, and Z-perms can be done at about 0.8. These are quite fast to do in comparison to F-perm, for example, which on average for most users takes like a second and some milliseconds. So EPLs are definitely a bit faster than PLs in general, but PLs are also not that far behind. Most PLs can be done sub 1, and the only problematic PL is the F-perm, which you might have difficulty getting a sub 1 execution, and even more difficult to consistently get sub 1 execution during solves. So apart from F-perm, most of the other PLs can be done sub 1 on average, which is not quite far behind than the EPLs. You don't really save that much using EPLs over PLs as far as execution is concerned. Another thing that sets OLL apart from COLL is cancelling into OLL from your last F12 pair. Here I have example, and this is the standard RU prime R prime insert. And just looking at this case, I know that I have a L-shaped edge case, and then I have the pie-shaped case where I will have headlights in here and then two stickers in here. And for predicting my OLL case, I am only looking at the yellow stickers. And like I had mentioned earlier, COLL recognition is one step further from OLL recognition. If you were to predict the CPU recognition, then you might have a pause. Whereas with predicting OLL, you can cancel into the OLL pauselessly, and your solve can maintain fluidity and smoothness to it. Cancelling into the OLL and predicting OLL during your last F12 pair is much more easier with OLL and a bit more difficult than COLL, since you have to do one more extra step for predicting a COLL case. Apart from all that, some COLL cases are just not worth learning. A good example are the soon and anti-soon cases. This is the soon case, and the standard alg for this case is really fast to execute. And most of the other COLL cases for the soon case are quite slow in comparison. Therefore, learning COLL for soon and anti-soon cases is not worth it, because you are going to be faster on average with the standard soon algorithm and PLL instead of going for COLL and then U-perm, H-perm or Z-perm. The anti-soon is the same scenario. The standard anti-soon algorithm is much more faster than the COLL anti-soon algorithm. Therefore, using the standard algorithm and using PLL on average will be faster than using COLL. However, with that being said, you still want to learn one of the soon and anti-soon COLL case, which I will cover a bit further in this video. Now that I have criticized COLL, you might think that COLL is just not worth it, and I will give my verdict at the end of this video. COLL uses the concept of CPU recognition, which is basically recognizing the corner permutation. And CPU recognition is very useful even if you're not using it for COLL. For example, CPU recognition is very useful for learning to recognize ZBLL cases, and without CPU recognition you cannot recognize a ZBLL case, because CPU recognition is the foundation for recognizing ZBLL cases. So if you were to get this case right, for recognizing ZBLL case, you will first off require looking at the CPU recognition, matching, and then opposites. And after you know what COLL case you have, you will look to the sides and see what ZBLL case you have. If you are going for the ZBLL route, COLL is a must. And another scenario where CPU recognition is very useful is for converting bad PLL cases into better PLL cases. So here I have a soon case, right? And if I were to use the standard soon algorithm, then I get a Y-perm in here, which is a really bad PLL case. And in here, when you got the soon case, right, if you were to look at the CPU recognition for this, opposites and opposites, then you will already sort of know that using the standard algorithm is going to give me a bad PLL case. So instead of using the standard algorithm, you want to learn one extra algorithm which will help you skip on these bad PLL cases. And this I touched upon when I was explaining the soon and anti-soon cases, how you don't need CLL for them. But apart from knowing the standard algorithm, you want to learn one extra algorithm which will help you skip these bad PLL cases. And the algorithm that I use is this one, which skips the bad Y-perm and gives me a T-perm, which is much more better than solving a Y-perm. And you also want to learn a similar algorithm for the anti-soon case. This is the standard algorithm and I get a Y-perm, but if I were to use an alternate algorithm, then I can skip that bad PL case and sort of still get something decent. So CP recognition is also useful for avoiding bad PL cases and doing an alternate algorithm to convert them into good PL cases, or at least decent PL cases. And the other scenario where CP recognition is very useful is for predicting where the headlights end up. A good chunk of our PL algorithms has the headlights in them, and using this prediction will help you know where your headlights is going to end up while you are solving your OLL case. And the way you do this is by recognizing your CP case. This is the OLL case that I have, and I'm going to use my standard algorithm for this. And before I do the standard algorithm right, I notice my CPU case, same and then opposites. And when I get this case right, I know that the headlights is going to be on the front side of the cube. So if I were to do my standard algorithm for this, I know that my headlights is going to end up on the front side, right? So the moment I'm done with the algorithm, I can instantly do the pre-AUF, therefore not having any pause between my algorithm and the PLL pre-AUF. And while I'm doing the pre-AUF, I can sort of recognize my PLL case from the two sides, and then also with minimal pause transition to the PLL algorithm. So this is also very useful for speeding up your last layer, especially the PLL recognition. And this is the same OLL case as the last time, and here I have again matching and then opposites on here, so I know that I will have a headlights on this side. So the moment I'm done with the algorithm right, I can just instantly do the pre-AUF and then recognize my PLL case and solve it instantly. So the concept of CP recognition is very useful, and COLL is also very useful, as is OLL and PLL. So out of all of these useful things, which one should you use in what scenario? The simple idea is, for most cases, OLL and PLL is good enough. Don't go out of your way to set up COLL cases, because the time needed to set up your CLL case, recognize the CLL case, and then do your algorithm and then do the EPLL, forcing COLL and then EPLL is going to be slower than just solving your F12 and then doing OLL and PLL. So scenario 1, never force CLL cases. If you get a CLL case, good, you can use your CLL algorithm to solve that case. Otherwise, just use your OLL and PLL and you're good to go. When it comes to COLL, you also have to make a choice what CLL algorithms are worth learning and what are not worth learning. For example, soon and anti-soon CLL cases are not worth learning, and only knowing one algorithm for converting the bad PL cases into decent or good PL cases is the only thing that you need to consider for your soon and anti-soon CLL cases. And some people might even say that H CLL cases is also not worth learning, since the standard algorithm is going to be faster in most situations. But I'll personally say that H cases should be learned, and there are only 4 cases, so it's not like too much. And apart from the soon and anti-soon CLL cases, you should be learning the CLL for all the other cases and using CLL only when it comes up. Do not force CLL cases. Only do CLL when you get a CLL case. Now you can break the previous rule of only doing CLL cases when you get a CLL cases by sort of influencing your edges during your last layer. So for example, here I have set up a case, and if you were to solve it normally, right, then you don't get a CLL case, and you just need to solve OLL and PLL for this. But while in this position, right, if you were to insert the F12 pair with a sledgehammer, then you are forcing across in the U layer, and now you can use a CLL algorithms. Usually, for most cases, do not force CLL cases, but if you get easy setups like the one I show you in here, yes, influence your F12 edges so that you can force your CLL case. But apart from these easy cases, most of the cases forcing is just not worth it, and OLL and PLL is going to be faster. That was about when to use COLL, and for all the other cases, use OLL and PLL. And when to use CP recognition, all the time. The PL prediction is really helpful, and the prediction for bad PL cases is also helpful. Use it.